Hello there, peoples of the internet. Today we have Nadija Bajrami
Oh,
with
well
me.
done.
Did I pronounce that correctly?
Yes.
Hello, Nadija. Welcome to Coach Professionally, our podcast for coaches by coaches. So tell us
Hi.
about yourself, Nadija.
And thanks for having me, Mike. Thank you very much. And hello, everybody. So I'm going to be as concise as I can so you don't all get bored. But I am live in Dublin. I'm French by birth, and I came to Dublin in Ireland 6 years ago. So I'm an multi-award winning hypnotherapist. I'm a trauma-focused therapist, a mind coach, Reiki master, grief specialist, a grief educator, and I also do some spiritual work and mediumship. I have a very extensive corporate background. I used to be a sales director until I got very sick. I got brain surgeries in 2014 and 15, and that just triggered something in me to go and find my path, which I knew was about helping people reach their potential, doing something to help people see the resources they have within themselves.
That's really beautiful. Thank you for sharing that story. And I
You're
imagine
welcome.
that must have been quite a difficult time for you from your corporate sales job, going
Mhm.
through the health issues that you have had, and going through this transition, basically reinventing yourself as you came
Absolutely.
out. So, what helped you along the way? Like, how did you find your path?
Well, the thing is, when I went to hospital for my last surgery in June 2015, I just knew. I said, God, I was talking to whatever was higher above me, and I said, God, universe, whoever you are, please save me. And if you save me, I promise I'm going to find my calling. Because for some reason, I knew something was not aligned in my life, not aligned. From the outside world, everything seemed perfect. The right partner, the perfect car, the perfect job. But for some reason, I was never really fulfilled. And I knew in all the jobs I had in management as a director as well, people would come to me to feel empowered. That's actually the word some of my team members used to use. And I was very good as a manager to empower people and make them see the potential and use all the resources they have within, obviously to contribute to the company at the time and to their own growth. And I knew that somewhere down the line, I would have loved to use that um, to really help more people. And when I recovered, I found a very nice hypnotherapist, an amazing lady where I was living. I never did hypnotherapy before. I was always passionate about the power of the mind and the power of being a human being as well, which is a powerful thing. And I had amazing results with my hypnotherapist. And that's kind of just led me to, right, let's start with hypnotherapy. And my teacher here in Dublin was actually also teaching us the mind coaching piece as well as the therapy.
Oh, wow. So, you started by being a client for a
Correct.
hypnotherapist.
Yeah.
And then what led you into becoming one yourself?
Well, the results and also the fact that I said I lived in Scotland for a long time and I lived in other countries. And when I survived and I got all the hypnotherapy done, I said, well, I'm still okay. I'm not too old. I've no kids. I can go abroad again. And I was getting ready to go back to the UK. And then the company in Dublin found my CV. Long story short, they offered me the job. I came here and I knew as soon as I arrived that this was not just, by chance, and that I was here to find who I really was, even like my path, but first of all, who I was. I knew I wanted to help people. I knew I wanted to make a difference in their life, but I also really knew that I wanted them to make that difference in their life. So with the results in hypnotherapy, as soon as I arrived, I looked for a teacher in hypnotherapy. I found an amazing teacher in Dublin, and this lady was then teaching us the therapy side and the coaching side. But really, what drove me is when I realized the power of our mind, of my mind, when I did my own work, and I said I can definitely use that, modality to help other people unlock the potential, overcome the limiting beliefs. Then down the line, I specialize in trauma hypnotherapy. And because through my own story of traumatic issues and grief as well, and then I've added grief and spiritual work, and all that coming from a place of make your mess your message, as I say quite often. I've been through a lot, so if I can help some people take a shortcut and maybe not go through as much as I've been through, using their own resources. I said, well, here you go. Make your message, Nadia. Use, in coaching, I mean, we will say very often, you have a story, use it to inspire other people to use their own life as an inspiration to other people. So I see that the ripple effect of I can help some people, as many as I can, to tap into their potential, to be accountable to themselves, because as we know, neither in therapy nor in coaching we're fixing people, because people are not broken. We're just helping them to see the potential, take the steps, and help them stay committed to themselves. It's I always say it's a two-way relationship.
That's right. That's 100% correct. I fully agree. And whatever niche I interview coaches, whether it is a life coach, a leadership coach, a hypnotherapist such as yourself, or even a sports coach, there is a very common pattern. Usually they went through an experience, and through their experience, they became able to find others, discover these shortcuts that you just mentioned. And now they are helping others to guide them through the shortcut. But ultimately, the responsibility always lies with a person. For a sports coach, for example, they can tell you how to get good at a sport, but they can't do it for you.
Correct. And the same like with what I do, the mind coaching, which goes really well with the hypnotherapy, because the hypnotherapy will work using the power of your subconscious mind, and mind coaching uses obviously the power of your mind as well. I mean, as we know, as coaches as well, I think the International Coaching Federation said something along the line of it's coaching is partnering up with a client to help them to make the result. It's a partnership. And it is really important because we're not there to do the work. The sports coach can't actually play the game, or he can't train. He can only give you the techniques. He can give you this, what I call with my clients, a toolbox. I'm actually helping them become more aware and building a toolbox. And then in the mind coaching part, that goes really well with the therapeutic part, is building those, these action plans and say, right, what do you commit to do this week, next month? Because as we know, growth, success, expansion come by taking baby steps. I firmly believe anyway in my approach, you have to break things down in small chunks. If, people sometimes come to me, and I'm sure you've experienced that, Mike, come to me, right, that's what I want to achieve. That's it. Like, that's what I want to do. Like, how can I do that? Let's start. And then when you explain to them, now, hang on, let's go back and break everything down. You feel a bit of frustration at the beginning because they just want to skip all this. You can't skip it because we will live in a society of instant gratification, immediate reward. People want it now. But with the mindset, it doesn't work this way. And whatever we do, we have to be real with ourselves. I actually say commitment, consistency. And really, for me, it's key. If you want to achieve something, you have to be committed to yourself. You have to be consistent, obviously. And before all that, you have to be clear as well what you want to achieve. And that's where coaching is extremely powerful, because it gives you that, helps you with that clarity.
Absolutely. I come from a background of martial arts, so I often draw comparison between processes to the journey in martial arts. And with the people who come in with the mindset that I just want to get a black belt, most often they give up. They don't make it through to advance to the highest level, to the depths of the martial art. But the people that do are the ones who embrace the process.
Absolutely. And it's hard, yourself, it's hard. It can be quite a lonely road. And I'm going to talk about the therapy and the coaching. And in my practice, what I love is because I have both. And the therapy, for me, the way I work comes always before, because we clear, some limiting beliefs, some symptoms of trauma, etc. And then we have the empowerment piece with the coaching, where, right, now you're at a better place with yourself, with your own story. You're embracing what happened to you. You're trying to know, not trying, you're having another outlook on what happened to you, and you're using it to really move forward. And that's the moment where also coaching is extremely powerful, because you just help them to see the possibilities. Because at the end of the day, I, again, firmly believe, maybe naively, but it works really well for me, that we are limitless. Like, the possibilities are just countless, limitless. I can't even... Nowadays, you can do anything. You can start in your kitchen, you can start in your garden, you can start in a garage, have a laptop. You can start whatever you want, really. So just to make people understand that the life you must choose the life you want to create, but you have to want it. We can't create that in them. We can only walk a little bit the path with them.
Yes. May I share a personal story with you?
I love personal stories. So yes.
So I asked my son once, what did he find the most fascinating about life? And he said, that you can do anything. That was his idea, and he's only 11 years old. So he said that the most fascinating thing in life for him is that you can do anything. And that's such a powerful thing coming from an 11-year-old. And I thought about it, when you sit in a car, you can go anywhere, right? Technically, you can go anywhere, but you do have to decide where you want to go. Otherwise, you're still sitting in the motionless
Absolutely.
car. Then you're not moving. So I said the same thing to him as well. That's right, son. Like, you really can do anything in life, but you have to decide what is it that you want to do, because anything is really nothing.
Absolutely. And I think it's absolutely true. Anything is nothing. And it's like when we say in marketing as well, when you speak to everybody, you speak to nobody. It's always the same teams, really. When you don't have the clarity, you're actually working in the dark. And working in the dark obviously can take a long time because you don't know where you're going. I am very, very, very bad eyesight. If I take my glasses off, I'm not sure I'm going to go into the right direction. So it's helping. Really, genuinely, I'm passionate about also the power of coaching, which to me nowadays, in my opinion, is understated, because a lot of people are coaches, and I do feel, among people sometimes you might feel a bit of frustration. Oh yeah, another coach and another coach, and the coach this, and life coach and sports coach and leadership coach, and people nearly feel sometimes a bit overwhelmed, or you might feel maybe saturated by all this. But I can't state enough the power of coaching when it is obviously done by a professional coach who is equipped to do that. Because to me, every single person on earth would benefit from a coach. And I was talking to a friend recently, quick personal story, which I won't mention, but a friend, she was talking about a retirement coach. And I said, that's amazing. This is also obviously, expanding. And I said, yes, because in that case, we're just talking about that the coach, she's not the coach, but about all these types of coach. But I said, that's amazing, because when people get older, you retire, and you feel sometimes you're very happy because you can relax, but very quickly you feel, what is my use? Like, what can I do now? And there you go. I use that example of the retirement coach, because everybody would definitely benefit from coaching, because as I said, when it's well done, it helps you to gain clarity, and it also helps you to kick you as well. When you're whinging and moaning and you think, well, I'm going to give up, we're here to boost, to help them, to walk the path along with them. But it's always with, it's not instead of them. And this is, I think, where people sometimes don't really get it or get it wrong, is that we're just another tool. We're not there to do the work for you. And because I've had clients, even in the mind coaching piece, the therapy as well, believe me, but come in, here you go. They dump their life on you. That's it. So now deal with it. I said, no, that doesn't work like this. We're going to work together, but you're going to do the work. You're going to do the reflection exercise. You're going to do the journaling. You're going to do the action plan yourself. I'm just going to facilitate. I like to call myself a facilitator. That's really important.
I fully agree. And coaching gets a really bad rap because of this. Like, people say that coaches don't take responsibility for the outcome. But it is difficult to take responsibility for the outcome. Like, if you're a trainer in the gym, how can you take responsibility for the outcome if the person doesn't turn up for the gym sessions? Like, at the end of the day, that's the client's role and responsibility. So I think it's just important to clarify that in the beginning, what coaching is and what it isn't, and what it can do, and how those transformations happen. And they happen by taking action on the client side, because, like you say, for example, yourself, you've already been through that transition, you've done it. There is not much you can do instead of the client. Like, again, if you go back to the gym, like, I can lift weight, but the person next to me is not going to get stronger by that, right?
Like you lift in a mountain kilos of weight. And I think I've been probably, like all of us in this industry, through a lot of coaching myself, because as we know, the coach needs a coach, the therapist needs a therapist, and again, it's that I really see it as that snowball effect of this positive snowball effect, the ripple effect, or the snowball effect. You're bringing all your goodness, you're helping the other people see their goodness and take their action and build that life, and then they can also make an impact on other people. But it always starts, and as much as some people don't like to hear it, it starts with us. It starts with me, with you, with our client, and then we just walking the path along with them, and we're here to help them. The moments where sometimes you're on the slippery slope and you need that helping hand, we're here to be that helping hand. But again, the helping hand for me, when I do the mind coaching piece, I can't, as you said, I can only drive them to a place and help them and see where the potential lies and what they can achieve. And we break everything into small chunks and they work towards that. But I can't do that. If
Yeah.
one week,
You show the
yeah,
path, you open the doors, but you can't walk through those doors for people, right?
no. And if they turn up at a session and they haven't done the work, I can't. There's no point. I've said that to one or two people. I said, there's no point in doing the session today because you haven't done the work. And and also I've had not a lot because I have amazing clients. In fairness, I'm extremely happy about the clients I have, but I've had once or twice somebody turning up and saying, oh God, I feel so bad because I was thinking about you and I did all my homework last night in a rush. And I said, well, you shouldn't be thinking about me. You should be thinking about you because I don't need to see the homework. I'm not your school teacher, but you need to do the homework if you want to progress to the next stage. And that made me laugh because I said, okay, interesting. You see that like, oh, I'm accountable to you. No. And I always bring them back. You're accountable to yourself, not to me.
Well, that's really difficult. Sometimes I always say that there are two things that motivates people. People either move away from pain, which is a great motivator. If something is hurting, you want the hurting to stop, right? And then people move towards pleasure, but that takes effort. So if you're comfortable, but you want to have things better, it's difficult to take action. So that's where the challenge comes, and that's often the case in coaching, right? Because coaching is not therapy. You're not really dealing with past trauma.
Absolutely.
You do in hypnotherapy, which is quite different to the traditional like
Yeah.
ICF style coaching that you mentioned there. So that's a different lineage there altogether.
Absolutely.
But yes, of course, like dealing with trauma, you want that pain to stop affecting your decisions. You want to have more clarity. You want to make better decisions in life. You want to be free from something holding you back, right? So that's a greater motivator than let's say advancing from here to there. Which sometimes it's like it's already pretty good here. So
yeah,
it takes
but you
a lot of
see,
effort to pick
I
yourself
agree.
up.
I agree. But the thing as well, and that's something I sometimes challenge some of my peers, and we have all these lovely brainstormings where we don't all agree, and that's the beauty of it. We have those brainstorming. But yes, I agree. It's totally different from therapy, and that's why I love also to dissociate what I do from my therapy and the coaching, because in the coaching world and work, it's yes, the client is there and it's pretty good, but he knows there's still something that doesn't fulfill him. He's not really fulfilled because otherwise he wouldn't be contacting us. And you think, well, where can I go? And I think and I'm going to say as a good facilitator and coach, it's just to help the client see, well, yes, that's really good. So do you want to settle for what's average or good? Or do you want to go that step beyond and have something excellent or something awesome? So this is what we can do together for you to reach that step, that awesomeness or that greatness. It's to actually help the client see, oh, I can actually get that as well. And there is a way. There is not necessarily a painful way, And this is where sometimes we challenge ourselves among other coaches because, well, I can't do that for him. I agree, but you can show them the potential and what they can do as the small step, the baby step, to start walking towards that direction. Then obviously, of course, if you're not interested, and then we can't walk the path. But if you start to create, that's a marketing thing. I think probably that's my sales background. If you start to create the need,
Can't wait to dig into that.
if you want to, if we are comfortable to create the need in them, because when they come to us, they have a need. So what do? To help them just maintain what they already have, which we can. But then our superpower as coaches, and I use superpower, is to help them excel, go beyond that. They're not going to pay us the money. They're not going to come to us just to keep going on the average path. And we also have this responsibility, and that I take this as a responsibility to actually show them where they can go.
It's interesting you say that because I hear from a lot of coaches that there are clients who just want to be listened to, who just want to be heard. They just need a space to vent.
But that's therapy. That's therapy.
Then they get it out, and then they go away, and they feel like they got it off the chest, But I don't want to get into the specifics. But I am curious, though. Like you're a certified hypnotherapist, so if somebody is considering becoming a hypnotherapist, let's say, how long does it take to become a certified hypnotherapist?
I trained with an amazing lady in Dublin, and it took me a full year of training, online, in-person training with, and then that's the initial full year like of training. Then since then, it is strongly recommended. So I'm doing it because I love to learn. To have regular CPDs every so often, every quarter, sometimes every 2 months. Goal is continuous learning and professional development. And this is how I specialize in trauma. I've also recently become a hypnotherapy supervisor. So I can now supervise, newly accredited hypnotherapist or hypnotherapist.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much. Because I, again, believe that there's so many hypnotherapists out there. There's so many psychotherapists out there. There's so many coaches out there. But once you get your certification, the same in coaching and therapy, it doesn't stop there. That's just the first stepping stone towards the continuous improvement, learning. And that's how I can be very good with my clients, because I am learning all the time. Like, genuinely, I love it. But I believe from very genuinely that I cannot be really good with a client if I don't learn more, because you know yourself. Again,
It's
therapy or
in
coaching,
any industry.
that's what I mean. Any industry, how can you really? You're gonna, at some stage, we're all gonna meet some clients who say, "Oh, I've never maybe really come across that. Oh, I've never come across that." But the more we learn, the more we have the skill set to take them from pain island to pleasure island.
And when you started out, so obviously you had a background in sales, but can you tell the viewers maybe how you got your first 10 clients?
I officially created my business here in Ireland in April 2020, which is like 3.5 years, over 3 years. And the mad person that I am, the passionate and crazy person I am, just said, right, you didn't come to Ireland to be average, to just have a small practice and just to do a couple of clients a week and have a full-time job. Because at the time I had a full-time job, which I quit nearly a year ago. So I would, a piece of advice, now that's my story, so I'm not telling people what to do, but maybe just a piece of my personal story of advice is I kept a corporate job, took the safety net, yes, and to build my clients. And how I got my clients is selling me. And I'm being very honest. Selling me as a person, doing YouTube videos. I mean, you can have a look at my YouTube channel. It's not a professional. I mean, I do the best I can, but they're not maybe the best videos. But what I did at the beginning is get out there, speak live on Facebook, speak live on different platforms, do some Zoom masterclasses, send some invites to people to just attend my talks on what hypnotherapy is, what mind coaching is. At the time, I was mainly doing these two modalities. And I very quickly started to bond with my audience, because I knew at the time what my audience would be. I knew who I wanted to work with. I worked really hard to narrow this down. And nowadays, I have an even narrower audience because I do grief and spiritual work. So I'm really targeting specific people. But I really went out there. And, and I generally believe there's no other tool than getting out there, putting yourself forward. And I know some people find it hard and sometimes we don't want to be seen. And to be honest, I'm busy enough in my life. I don't necessarily always want to do videos or posts. But I really started to enjoy it because I realized how much people engage with my content. And obviously, you asked me, how did I get my first 10 clients? Videos, posting, asking questions. I started by asking questions. So here I am. This is who I am. This is what I can do for you. What do you want to talk about? What do you want to talk about? What do you want me to talk about? Is there any specific topic? And I'm actually really engaging with my audience and listening to them. I had one or two giveaways at the time as well. So people won the prizes, started working with me, saw the benefits, then send me some of their family members. And really, and I owe that to my upbringing and to the motivation, enthusiasm I have that, okay, get out there, Nadija. You didn't come here to be a part-time therapist or a part-time coach. You could do that anywhere else. And now I'm full-time in my practice. But I just went out there. And to be honest, when I started, even like part-time, my first 10 clients came within 2 or 3 months. Like 2 or 3 months, I had really the first 10 proper clients, not case studies with clients. And then these clients were happy, send me more clients. And then that obviously led me to learn other modalities as well, which now I have more clients because some clients come from some modalities and then some other ones come for certain modalities. But then some try each modality because they like how you work and the coaching or the
Mm.
therapy, and I said, well, I would like to try some Reiki. I would like to try some grief education programs.
So let me just stop you there. So just so I understand this correctly, so by creating the master classes, by doing the videos, by engaging with your audience, in just 3 months' time, you
I got
managed to
that, yeah,
close 10 clients,
or maybe even more
and
actually.
that gave you the opportunity to start your hypnotherapy practice part-time. And when you grew it to the level where it was
Profitable.
providing for your
Yeah,
livelihood, exactly, then you resigned from your
absolutely.
corporate
And
position.
I just knew. Now I took a risk, because you know yourself, when you're self-employed, it's always a risk. There's no guarantee. With no paid holidays, with no paid sick leaves, with ourselves with ourselves.
Even that
I
sometimes.
know. So like sometimes you're like, oh my goodness, hang on. When people say, let's go on a 2 weeks cruise, and I'm like, hang on a minute. In fairness, I don't want it to seem easy. It was dedication. I had a full-time job in management. I worked tirelessly, built my website with my web designer at night within 2 weeks. So I was working at nights, weekends. Then I got asked to write for some magazines, and everything just really, I think, flew with the passion, but the hard work. I was really committed, and I can't state enough commitment, discipline. And I know some people say,
Oh
well,
yeah,
yeah,
now
self
you're speaking from my heart.
yeah, self care. I'm a therapist. I need sometimes to be better with myself, but discipline, commitment, consistency, that's it. There is nothing else. There is no quick fix. Everybody can be called a coach. You do hypnotherapy training, you become a hypnotherapist. You train as a counselor, then you go on the market. Yeah, you're a counselor. But at some stage, if you don't put yourself into gear, into that's it, I'm hungry to show the world how I can help the world, how I can be of service, and that's what I mean. It's consistency, commitment, discipline. Believe me, I'm not going to go into my daily routine, but sometimes people are frightened. 5 o'clock, I'm at the gym. Then I do that. Then that, like, I know, 5 o'clock, I'm getting up. Then I go to the gym, meditation, all this gym, play with my cat, love my cat, go to the gym, work with my clients. And sometimes at night, at midnight, I'm still doing email. So I'm not saying this is what we should all do. Now I'm learning after 3.5 years because, it's getting more consistent. I'm learning to take some more time for myself. And I'm looking into subcontracting some work and partnering up with people now that I have the feedback. But before I reached that stage I am now, I had to put all the hard work and the discipline. So sometimes, yes, I live in Ireland. It's not very sunny very often. So sometimes when you have a weekend when it's really gorgeous, it's sunny, and you're on your laptop because you need to prepare your sessions, your programs, and your friends want to go for a drink and they want to go for a walk, and no, sorry, I can't today. I need to finish this. I need to do that. And then it became second nature. It didn't. Yes, I had to. People call it sacrifice. I don't like that. I don't like the word sacrifice because to me, sacrifice is a totally negative side.
Yeah.
For me, it's
It's an
commitment.
investment. You were making an investment. Yeah.
And an investment. Absolutely. Yeah.
I noticed how I built two successful businesses myself that were required, and I help obviously coaches and consultants to grow their businesses. And
Yeah.
these are the things that I teach them about. That it's not the overnight seven-figure business that the internet gurus are promising.
I didn't mention it. Thank you for mentioning it, but I was thinking about that. Yes.
Yes, no, it's absolutely true. And just for our audience, if you haven't been listening so far, so Nadija has been a professional salesperson before she went into this. And it still took her 2-3 years of disciplined work to get her business to the level where she can scale it, where she can outsource processes and she can outsource tasks so that she can focus on the delivery and helping her clients. So it does take hard work, and this is the biggest shortcut. Like you literally are receiving the biggest shortcut right now from somebody who's been a professional salesperson and who made it in hypnotherapy, in coaching. And we have tried a lot of things. I think between you and I, we have a lot of business experience now. Just so honestly, there are no shortcuts. There are no hacks. You just gotta put your head down and do the work.
You just mentioned that, Mike, but be careful. And this is to the audience. All these quick wins that you see on the internet, and the 6 figures, I can help you reach 7 figures in 2 weeks. And this is not the reality. And again, I will probably disappoint some people here, but yes, this is not happening like that. So if you're committed, if you have an idea, I say to people, live like, right, that's it. Go talk to people, get out there. And something that really tremendously helped me as well, I didn't mention, obviously, I'm a people's person, like all us coaches and therapists hopefully are. is networking. I mean, when I came to Ireland, I've joined so many different networking, obviously, organizations, and different ones, the bigger ones now. But that actually, a lot of people in my environment, like that I know in my life, said, "Oh, Nadija, you're wasting your time. You're always going for, a drink with somebody or having a virtual coffee and doing a free call." But no, because I've met so many amazing people. And now I'm reaping the fruit, because now these people remember you as, "Oh, I remember her. So let's invite her for a talk on grief. We need somebody to talk about this." Oh, yeah. And that's what I mean as well. Discipline, consistency, hard work, nothing else. Then after that, network. Once you have these in you, get to know people. Go on LinkedIn. I've been adding people and like sending them messages. And I said, what you don't ask, you don't get, You build a network and you might be surprised. And this is a very positive experience I had. You might be surprised of how much people are actually reactive, because you think, "Oh, this gentleman will never reply to me," or this, whatever person will never, or this organization will never reply to me. And they might be surprised, because I genuinely believe in that. I'm doing law of attraction coaching as well. And I really believe in the manifestation, like what you put out there comes back to you. So if you're serious about having a business, a coaching business with people, it's build a network, because it's your net worth, as we know. And, stay really focused, keep the bigger picture in mind, hard work, dedication, consistency. Doesn't mean you need to sacrifice anything. I'm going to repeat that. If people think they're sacrificing something, they're not on the right path. Because I never felt I had to sacrifice anything. It was an investment. It was a commitment, never a sacrifice. And this is where you know as well that you're aligned and you're on the right track.
That's awesome. Like, you drop in some serious truth bombs here. I love it, honestly.
You have to stop me, because I love it so much. I can talk all day, and then you'll all be asleep at some stage. So we don't want that.
No, you've been absolutely fantastic. I think you have provided lots of valuable advice. And I remember you said something as well, that you didn't want to stay small. You didn't want to stay like a one-man show, etc. So where are you now, and what are your aspirations?
So I'm a multi-award-winning hypnotherapist, certified accredited mind coach, a Reiki master, but I'm also like grief educator, and I am specializing now. By next year, I will also be an end-of-life therapist. So the goal is to get some help, some people to do the things I'm not very good at, so I can focus on on doing what I love. And I have my HQ in Ireland, obviously, but I do plan to also work more in France and in Switzerland around the coaching, the trauma work, and the grief and end-of-life work as well. So my goal is to scale in different countries, but also in the short term to surround myself by the right team, which I am working on at the moment, like having the right people. Because as you know, when you reach that stage when now you're ready to scale, you don't want to fall into the trap where you work in your business, not on your business.
Exactly. That's also very true. And, some people just enjoy the delivery part. This is something I tell my clients, that they have to think beyond themselves as well. Because if there is an economic crisis, a turndown, from a medium-sized business, you can shrink. But if you're a one-man show, that means you're going to end up going back to work. And that, you really have to think a little bit bigger, create jobs, create opportunities for other people as well. And just spread, if you truly believe in what you do, spread your message wider.
We wouldn't be there today if none of us took risks. When I went full time, I said, right, okay. And one of my clients, actually, believe it or not, one of therapy clients, an amazing person, told me, go big or go home, And I said, okay. And said, Nadia, you have the potential. I was still like employed at the time and doing my therapy and coaching part-time. And she said, that doesn't make sense. So she said, you have to go big or you go home. And that really, really stayed with me over the last couple of years. And I said, she's right. Go big or go home. But going big, what does it mean as well? It means that you might fall at some stage, because you're trying to go big. You might fall, but then when you fall, you're not going backwards. You've just learned something that, okay, that's not my lane. As we say in grief work,
failing forward. I like to call it failing forward.
Failing forward. Yeah, absolutely. And stay, and then you find your lane and you find your niche, and you think, oh, actually, I enjoyed that for so long, but no, I would like to do something different. So that's why there's no failure. In NLP, we all say that there's no failure, only feedback, and that's why I think it's only feedback, no failure.
Well, look, I watched my son grow up, and especially when he was little, like when he's learning to walk, he fell over hundreds of
There
thousands
you
of
go.
maybe thousands of times before he learned to walk. And you would never criticize him. You would never expect him to be able to walk full on for the very first time. So when you just start in a business and you never had a business before, like you can't really reasonably expect, like, set the standards so high that you don't allow mistakes or little failures, right? Obviously, you don't want to make fatal mistakes, but that happened also. Several very successful businessmen had failed businesses and even went
Big
bankrupt.
time. Yeah. Yeah.
This happen, but it's just like you can't dwell on this and
Mhm.
get stuck in this. You have to pick yourself up, move forward, and it's about enjoying the process. Like, really, you have to embrace the process of it all, and you have to want it. Like, these things cannot stop you, otherwise it's never going to work.
Another thing you've probably said, like the most, like the wisest piece here is like, I talked about dedication, commitment, consistency, hard work, networking, but what I didn't mention is exactly what you said. If you are serious about your dream, leave alone the business, but having your dream become a reality, because that's possible, you know. People think their dreams are just supposed to stay dreams. No, if you want to turn it into reality, you will, with the key elements we spoke about earlier on. But one thing we all need to be prepared for is to fail. If we cannot take failure, then we're doomed to fail for real and to have maybe a fatal mistake, as you said, because it's that also this ability to fail, to fall. And when you fall, to think, right, what did this fall teach me? Because it always teaches something. And this is part of, like I was teaching that when I was in sales to my teams, it's soft skills as well. Because failing or losing a contract or not getting a contract, okay, so what do we need? What is the learning outcome here? You know?
I agree with you, but there is a bit of a fallacy there that people need to be mindful of. So you, as much as you have to accept that as a possible outcome, but you cannot accept failing in a sense, like you cannot accept it in your effort, because if you go in there with the mindset, well, this might not work or whatever, you're already lost. Like, you have to go in there, give it your very best 120%,
Correct.
and you have to go in there with the right mindset, like failure is not an option, and I do whatever it takes. And it's not about like what if it fails, it's about how can I make it.
You know what we see? I think a lot of coaches use that, but plan B, you know, when we talk about the safety net, like when I had my day job and I was like, well, that was my safety net. That was my plan B, which meant that the plan A was to have my business and the plan B was obviously the job. And the day understood, and that's going to actually come back to what you just said, the day understood that if I need a plan B, I'm planning to fail. So my plan A is my only plan. You know, I can't have another plan because the plan is to reach that goal. That's it. And for me, I knew there's no one. And I mean, I say it to my friends now. I said, no, no. So when we talk about, you know, recession and everything, I said, I don't want to hear about it because I am on the way to create what I always wanted to create. There's no, but what I meant is you have to be ready to embrace the setbacks because they will happen. They will happen. But the
Inevitably.
setbacks should never take you away from that vision that you have, which is I'm gonna make it. Because as you said, we can't. There's no point in setting yourself in business if you think you're not gonna make it. That you're wasting your time and your money and your energy.
Yeah,
Mhm.
absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, look, I mean, when I develop the business plans for coaches and we create their cash flows and
Mhm.
business strategy, and suddenly they start seeing the action steps that will lead to generating the kind of income they aspire for, etc. Some of them get frightened, and some of them actually say, "Well, I'm not prepared to put in all this work, and I'd rather just switch the jobs. I take another corporate job where I'm
Mhm.
more happy and maybe leverage my skills inside the company than
Yeah.
actually execute this plan because I see how much work it is and I'm not prepared to do that." And that's a perfectly good outcome. It's actually okay. Like, you didn't spend 2 years of your life failing, learning from your own at your own expense, but
Mhm.
you were able to discover that in advance that maybe this is not for you, and then that's
Correct.
perfectly fine.
Yeah.
It's an
Absolutely.
acceptable outcome. So I fully understand what you say, and I also think it's very reasonable
Mhm.
to put a transition plan in place, not necessarily
Absolutely.
take it in a
Absolutely. Yeah.
But like, I don't, you mentioned cruising earlier in our interview that somebody invited you on a cruise. Like you know when the boat is approaching the port, like you wouldn't want to make that step before that boat is there, right?
Correct.
You want the boat to be in the harbor before you leap over, like you
Correct.
know,
Yeah.
yeah.
And
So
but
that's
that's what I call calculated risks. You see, this is why, because that kind of led me to when I used that transition, then I said, well, I can't keep having a plan B. But I had to have a plan B when I started. That was the way I was operating because maybe not everybody, but definitely that helped me to be far more confident and to scale my business now. Because, you know, when your mind is at rest and you have this little bit of financial security that helps you build your business, you have headspace as well. So I
mm,
totally get when people say, oh, you have to go full time. Let's go, let's do it. But to be able, as you said, to go there, to do the business, you have to have some headspace free, you know? If you're always worried, it's not going to work. You know, so I'm coming back to the same thing, that balance. It's all about balance, calculated risks. Then, and your idea, and then let's go. Then let's go, you know?
yeah, 100%. And also, if you have a solid business plan, if
Yeah,
you have a strategy that you can execute, you know what you need to do daily, that eventually those action steps will lead to these results. You can even get support. You know, you can bring a partner on board, somebody,
mm,
maybe another coach, you can partner up, you can share the workload. There are lots
absolutely.
of
Yeah,
different options there.
yeah,
You know, some people prefer to work under larger organizations and become a member, work
mm,
under their brand, get things dripping down to them. There are many ways to go about it, but it's a case by case basis. Anyway,
absolutely.
Nadia, this has been fantastic. I really appreciate all your input and everything you shared with our audience. As much as I love doing this podcast, I also always learn something new, and I've learned from you today as well. I really loved your energy.
Thank
I
you.
love all the ideas and the concept you shared, especially about the discipline, the perseverance, and about going big or going home. Uh, yeah, I love that idea. So thank you. If people want
Thank you
hypnotherapy
so much.
or if they want coaching from you after hearing this interview with you, where can they find you?
So my website is a first step. I would say www.nbhypnotherapy-mindcoaching.com. Or to be honest, they type my first name and my surname and they add Dublin. There's only one. So you'll find my Instagram, my Facebook, my LinkedIn, my TikTok, Pinterest with my first name and my surname for sure. There's not that many.
It's really beautiful. Thank you for sharing all your insights, all your knowledge. Love your energy. Thanks for joining, and we'll catch up after. So take
Thank you
care,
so much.
everybody. Bye
Everybody,
bye.
thank you. Bye bye.